So hey, thanks again for joining us. You reached the Fanaddicts of Film, and this is Blasterpiece Theater. My name is Ben, and I've got my cohorts with me.
I'm Neil. Welcome back to the program.
And this is Alex, back from the Outer Rim territories.
Territories. So we're just quickly, we've been talking a little bit of, and we're kind of doing a big comparison on Attack of the Clones and The Last Jedi, and I wanted to kind of just paint a picture to you about where I think Vader was first born, and how in The Last Jedi Luke tends to, at least the way it was written, the way Luke was written, is basically plays the blame game and blames everything that happened on the Jedi, saying the Jedi they're responsible for the evolution of Darth Vader, the creation of Darth Jedi, the creation of Darth Vader, etc. I just watched it today, but I can't remember what he says. But he says specifically these things that basically it's the Jedi's fault. They're at fault, and I beg to differ. It's not their fault. It may just be Anakin's and Obi-Wan's. I'm not sure. But here, this is kind of a funny moment, funny scene where, of course, we all know this scene. When he goes and tries to rescue his mother. Anakin goes back and tries to rescue his mother. And I find it just a funny thing how it took them so long to come back. I mean, it's been 10 years, I think. 10 years, am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, about that. 10 years that they've been waiting for this. And so I think they could have come back a little sooner. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, we know Jedi they're forbidden.
Right,
from
no, I get that.
And every other Jedi.
But compassion is something, right? Compassion is something that they're supposed to have. So once again, it's the paradox that it is, but they're also it's the Zen way of thinking, whatever, like we discussed before. But honestly, it is something that kind of throws me off there,
And it should, Ben, because this isn't about compassion or attachment.
Yeah.
This is about Anakin making a promise to his mom of I'll come back and get you. And the only thing I could think that actually kept him from doing this was maybe that she did get married or somehow was released from it. But still, really, with hyperdrives and the ability to jump across the galaxy in a moment's notice, you should go visit your mom every now and again. It'd be the nice thing to do. See if she's not still a slave.
Right.
If she's not, she's got some new socks. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like you'd think that he would just be like, I wonder how mom's doing. It's been 5 years, like somewhere in between there, kind of realizing. And I get it. I mean, they're supposed to, just live their lives and be unattached. And I get that that's the whole thing. But it's just when it comes down to the blame game, which is what The Last Jedi did. It posted blame on the entire. The encompassing Jedi Order, the entire Jedi Order was to blame, according to Luke. They were to blame for this, and the galaxy would never have endured such evil if it wasn't for the Jedi. Like, it was this total blame game on the Jedi, and it.
Yeah, he calls it hubris, and the Jedi's hubris, and why they're it's like they're completely so full of themselves that they didn't see. These little things slip through their fingers, or that they were so righteous in their ways that, Darth Vader basically was the natural antithesis of that. And that may be a point, but, to me, it kind of fell flat. It fell like a pretty, it just felt like an excuse. It felt like a pretty lame excuse that Luke was trying to feed me.
We'll see, because if you remember, who tells Qui-Gon, no, he is not to become a Jedi? Mace Windu. From the get-go, they were telling him no.
That's right.
So there was a point of resistance, and the Jedi let him in.
Okay, but that was because Qui-Gon insisted. Apparently, I mean, from the story.
Jedi.
So, but I mean, I guess that. But once again,
But that wasn't because Qui-Gon was so full of himself.
Right.
That wasn't because he was
he is the chosen one. You must see.
And I'm I'm the only righteous one here. I don't think it was necessarily that. I think I don't know. Luke's point is just much more pointed to an overall aspect of the Jedi that wasn't shared by every single one of them out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and this scene once again it just blows me away because it's like I think one of the only moments that I ever, or at least recently, that I can remember John Williams having like horror music here. But anyway, I mean, this right here is the birth of Darth Vader. His mother dies in his arms, and at this point he's realizing. So just deciding to slaughter the rest of these.
God, what some bad timing, you know? I mean, what had to come in there right at the last 30 seconds of your mother's life? While she's just been freshly beaten and tied to whatever kind of stick and stuff. I mean, this is the kind of thing that makes you wonder how, like, behind the scenes Palpatine has been pulling these strings. You know? Because...
Well, see, and you both were like, oh, why didn't he go visit? If you remember, what the promise, he's like, I'll promise, I'll come free you. What does she say? Don't come back.
She said
Don't
that?
come back. Yeah, she totally says that. Because I remember that as a kid. I don't know, it like hit me. That scene hit me hard, just being like, damn. Don't come back.
Okay.
Yeah, you may be right there, Alex. And
well, okay.
You probably
okay,
watched
so
it a heck of a lot more times.
Well, so then it's Shmi's fault. Shmi created.
Shmi's her own demise then. So she's the Sith Lord.
I don't know. If anything, it like
just
it. I don't know. It drives your point home. It kind of is like his birth. He like wasn't meant to see that. Like he wasn't supposed to go back. He's supposed to stay away from the attachments. Like.
So do you guys
this
think
all led him to that moment of anger when he just kills them all. Like kills all the sand people. Like
big time. This is definitely the birth of Darth Vader. But do you think this was something that Palpatine was pulling the strings, or do you think these are just like the inner turmoil that Anakin's going through, and he starts seeing the visions?
I think that wasn't necessarily a part of Palpatine's plan, but it was one of the things that just kind of fell into his lap, type of thing. I don't know, man. It's a tough thing to say. But I do remember he counsels them a lot in this. He's like, remember about you've been having the dreams about your mother again. So I mean, it's probably something on his mind.
The Sand people, they took your mother, you took their or no, what is he? He said something else about the arm too. Oh, that's Dooku. He's like, he took your arm and you took his head. It's only natural.
That's
like,
right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but it's like,
but the point that was all after the fact. So yeah, it does make you wonder. I don't think he was part of it. I think it was just one of those things that just kind of fell in Palpatine's favor, and just Palpatine's like, oh, good, I'll take it. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's one of those things. It is just interesting here that Anakin, or excuse me, that Mace Windu and Yoda are discussing the pain that Skywalker's feeling. So they are starting to see some of this happen. They are starting to see, or at least they're starting to see the pain. Of course, these, they know that these are kind of a wild card, but,
Well, and they also see that this is like they may not see what's going on with Palpatine and the cloak that he's got over them, but they can definitely feel the dark side brewing in Anakin.
Okay, now that does remind me of what I was wondering here. Here's a question to all of you. Do you think that Yoda knew that Skywalker had killed all these sand people? Because Jedi can sense when he says death, pain, suffering. He says death, I fear something terrible has happened. Does he know? It's like it makes you wonder to what degree does he know that what's happening here with Anakin?
I think he does.
You think he knows?
In the sense that Yoda has also killed, and this is something where Anakin's crossing a line, and that kind of welling up of intense emotion as far as like slaughtering people like that or something like that, I'm sure is a very specific resonance of emotion that, I would hope somebody as attuned as Yoda is would be able to pick up on.
Well, in Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan's like, who could have done this? And Yoda's like, go look in the holograms. It's like he already knew. He didn't even need to look. Yeah, like Obi-Wan's like, I need to go look, and Yoda's like, only pain you'll find there. Like he knew. So that kind of makes me think he did know.
It thinks, yeah, it does. It does make you wonder. Because the first time we experienced anything like this, it was Obi-Wan in A New Hope saying, there was millions of voices screamed out in terror, and then they were suddenly silenced. So it just makes you wonder, of course, how detailed he would know.
Well, and here's the point I want to get to with the funeral piece is just the fact that This was kind of downplayed. I mean, it was a funeral moment, but it wasn't like the end of the movie moment, you know, that we've had with the funerals of Vader.
Or the funeral of Padme.
Or funeral of Padme, or even Yoda disappearing, I guess. That was kind of a funeral moment, you know.
Or Qui-Gon's funeral.
And it goes silent, Qui-Gon's funeral. This is a little more subdued, but I just, you know, it all of a sudden struck me of just how you're so right in the sense of this is the Vader moment, because at this, it's very symbolic of Anakin basically burying the good side of himself. And this is his mother, this is the person who brought him up, this is the love and compassion that he had as a kid.
That would have kept him on track.
On the straight path. And now he's kind of burying that and finding his way over to the dark side.
I mean, just look at his face. I mean, he's like he's staring you down. It's like, it is, yeah. So anyway, he does have a good stern look there. He's just like, look, you killed my mother. Anyway, so
you didn't like the writing, huh? You didn't like the Anakin's dialogue at the funeral?
Well, it was just poorly executed in my opinion. I don't know. I have to watch it again,
it
but
felt strong to me.
Okay.
Just something about like I wasn't strong enough to save you, and then that's like literally in episode 3 when he's like, I'm gonna be strong enough to save you. I don't know. It was like
Padme,
almost It was like almost like we saw him fail. He tried to save his mother. It wasn't his fault, but he failed. You know, he couldn't save her. So, and now here we go at episode 3. He's seeing the same premonition. I don't know. It was almost like it instilled that fear.
Yeah.
Fear leads to hate. Hate leads to anger. And dude, we all know where that goes. Like, that was the fear.
Yeah. Yes. And so, but just once again, this does bring us back to the. Do you want to?
No. Go ahead.
You know something? I'm just kidding.
You got something you want to say to me?
I'm just kidding. The point I think that I was driving home. You guys made some amazing points here. The point that I was driving here is that so we've had. Let's count about how many funerals that we've had in the Star Wars.
Right. You did a good job of that.
So well, let's count how many of them are there. How many of them are there?
So starting with episode 4, we've got Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Disappears.
But is that a funeral?
I was gonna say
not really.
Not really a funeral.
So let's talk about actual
specific
funerals.
Specific funerals.
You know what? We can acknowledge. Let's an actual acknowledgement. So Luke does acknowledge. Luke says, I can't believe he's gone.
Yeah.
That's what he says. Okay, so acknowledging that they're dead.
Acknowledging their passing. Yeah.
Okay.
That works. Okay, so there's Obi-Wan, number 1, and I think
we don't
that's
see
about
anybody in
it from
Empire.
episode 4.
Did you say Qui-Gon had a funeral in one of the movies?
Yeah, in Phantom Menace,
Okay,
when he's
so-
like Yoda and Windu are talking, and he's like, "But who was destroyed, the Master or the Apprentice?" And he's like, "There's
that's
only
exactly
2
what
there
I was-
are." Yeah.
So that's 2.
All right, and that's going to jump in a little bit ahead, but I
way
guess
ahead.
it's number 2, so you know that works. So we got Obi-Wan there, Empire.
Nobody in Empire.
Nobody in Empire, no funerals anyway.
It's funny that you'd think that. It's like of all the movies, you'd think Empire would have something like that, but I guess it doesn't.
Right. Return of the Jedi has Vader's. Right.
Right.
And then I don't know, maybe the Ewoks, but it's more of a celebration. But still, the Ewoks died. That little one.
The one.
Yeah,
the one
we all know which one.
Nope.
But so it's 3.
Okay. I'm trying to
That was
think
4.
of.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So the point that.
And then Padme at Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah,
That's all of them.
5. Is that it? Are we counting Yoda too then? Him disappearing if we're counting Ben for like acknowledgement?
Yeah.
So 6 there.
Man, that just like goes to show. I don't know, when we were talking about funerals for Han and Leia the other day, I was like, that's not very Star Wars. But now when you look back at it, it's very Star Wars.
So the point that I'm trying to drive home is that Rian Johnson thought that it was too difficult to put a Han Solo funeral in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
You could have had Han Solo just a moment, like 30 seconds. You could have had a funeral scene that takes 30 seconds of the movie. You don't have to make a funeral scene that long. You literally have just, maybe a minute or 2 at the most of them saying something about Han Solo. Not one thing about Han. And actually, no, the one thing that does, Luke mentions Han.
Where's Han?
Where's Han? And then he says, oh, Han was Han about it when they're talking about, Ben. But the point is that that was ridiculous. And we should be getting a funeral for all three of the big three in Episode 9. So, and we didn't, just one.
Maybe it'll be Rey's turn to the dark side, not getting a funeral.
I was just thinking how easy it could have been for Leia to have a moment, They're obviously connected, just feel something. And then at the very end, you just see Chewie and Rey, kind of flying off as they did in Empire when they were off to search for Han. But this time, maybe they've got Han in some other casket or something like that and launch him off the Millennium Falcon,
Well, I don't know how they do that when he fell into the... whatever abyss.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could have been like the little dice that Luke had. It could have
been
some sort of memorabilia. It could have been his blaster. It could have been
dice. It should have been the dice.
It's just sad that we don't.
It's sad.
It's like, oh my goodness, what? It's just a weird thing. So
anyway, big moments with funerals that have a lot of impact on these characters because obviously we're making connections between them. We got to see those things. We got to see, how they treat their dead, how they mourn the passing of the people that they love.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a big one. I mean, look at that face. That is mournful face if I've ever seen one.
Well, I guess one thing that I didn't like about what he says is that I miss you so much. He's like, I missed you so much, and I wasn't
resonate.
I wasn't sold on it, but it was just his acting. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening to us, you guys. Appreciate it. This has just been a short moment on trying to kind of, argue with the LAST JEDI and say, no, the Jedi aren't at fault for the existence of evil in the galaxy.
Yeah, that sentiment is shared right here.
Hey, and thank you so much for watching. Seriously, subscribe, leave some comments. What do you think was Vader's? What was the point where he turned to Vader? What was your guy? What do you guys think? Is it the Sand People? Is it when he chopped off Windu's arm? Was it when he choked out Padme?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I maintain that this is the birth of Vader right here, and I'm just curious to see what you guys think of it. Just really curious. Thanks again for watching. You've been great. We love you all here, and may the Force be with you.
Always.